Hi everybody, my name is Chris. This is going to be episode 1 of a video blog which shows the progress that I've made and will be making on my O-scale train layout that I've been building in my basement for the past few months. I started this layout in October of 2017. It is now January of 2018 and I've made quite a bit of progress. Some of the stats and figures of this layout: it has about 36 feet long, shaped like an L. The shorter part of the L is about 20 feet. There are 2 loops of track with an upper level reversing loop. There will be a turntable with an engine area and then a storage yard as well, and then various industries scattered about the layout. I'm using Gargraves and Ross track with Ross switches. Right now, I've been working on wiring up some turnouts and switches. The track is just about complete. The upper levels, really all I have left for mainline track. Then I have the yard area to put in as well, and you'll see that in a minute. Today I'm working on some scenery, rock molds and things like that, so you'll see that as well. So as this video blog continues, feel free to comment or ask questions, things like that. I'll try to get back to people. The reason why I decided to do a video blog other than just the blog that I have on the OGR forum online is because as I began this process, I was looking for inspiration and how-to videos and things like that on YouTube, and found the slim pickings of videos on there to be a huge help. So I figured I'd throw this out there for anybody else that's trying to get into the hobby that just might need a little inspiration or a little bit of guidance. So hopefully this helps you. So yeah, let's check it out. So as we come down the steps into the basement, you kind of come right in here to the center of the layout. And this area here will be a station area. I've got some station platforms already put in. There'll be a station here where this opening is. This will all get closed up in time. Moving to the left, this is where the turntable is. So I have a Millhouse River Studios 28-inch turntable in place. It does have the auto indexing system, and it's been pretty awesome to kind of play with so far. Working on getting my whisker tracks put in now and getting those all wired up. That's just kind of tedious and takes some time. So around here we've got our 2 main loops. Come around this turn. These are Ross curves. I've got 080 on the inside and 096 on the outside. So we kind of pan around. Our outside main line breaks off into a passenger siding, and that leads back up there to that passenger station area that I just mentioned. We'll kind of just follow the main line around. We've got the Woodland Scenics Morrison's Door Factory here, just a small industry that'll be part of the little town scene. Moving forward, we have an auto rack yard. It's kind of small, but you know, it will serve a general purpose. I've got a bunch of auto rack cars, so that gives me a place to kind of store those. Our 2 main lines come around, they kind of separate. The outer main drops down to a 48-inch truss bridge, and that's where I'm working on rock molds today. And they come around and they will go underneath the upper level in 2 separate spots. They kind of travel through the upper level all the way back by pan across. You'll see those Union Pacific cars under there. That will all be covered under the upper level, and there is a reversing loop area that comes out here and then comes either into the auto rack yard, it can come to the other side of the main, or it can reverse back over here to the inner loop. And then there will be a double portal right there where the main line comes back out. We've got some turnouts and switches, and then it just kind of pans back around to that main loop, as well as the entrance into our main engine area. So excuse kind of all the scenery products that are in the way. Building a layout's never really a clean process. In the back area you'll see a turnout there, and that is where the incline to the upper level begins. So that grade right now is right around 4.5%. It's a little higher than I wanted it to be, but at the same time, my engines, I tested them, they can handle it, and it's quite long, so I figured 4.5 was okay. I'm not too concerned about that. So as I said, I've been working on this layout since October. It is now January. So I've got some lattice work in place. I use cardboard and hot glue. You also see some foam back there for some structural support. I use that cardboard as my lattice support, and then wherever there's going to be ground cover, I use plaster cloth. And if we come over to this area, you'll see some plaster cloth here. I add plaster cloth on top of the cardboard, and then on top of the plaster cloth, I add Sculptamold, and that's here. This has obviously already been painted brown, as I've just kind of been testing it out. Wherever there isn't going to be ground cover and there's going to be exposed rocks, is I use rock molds. So that's what we see being formed or put in place here, and this will be a small stream that will be coming out, and this goes underneath this truss bridge, and we'll have a waterfall scene here. So you'll see that I've got the rock molds in place. Here in the middle is where the yard will form. So I've got the 4-way raw switch ready to go. Just need to get some switch motors put in place and wired up, and we'll get this track installed. And so I'll have 4 storage tracks kind of right here in the middle of the layout, so we'll make that look like a yard scene. The upper level comes across that switch back in this area, right here. This goes just into a nothing portal. That's kind of a road to nowhere. That's actually an 042 switch. This layout is minimum 072 curves, so that switch won't even be wired up. It's actually just locked in place to stay straight. So I'll have some meters back in that tunnel portal, so it looks like there's some more track. Just add some more dimension to the layout without actually taking up more room. Along that back edge, I've got about 15 inches of space back there, so I do have a Ross regular turnout here, so that'll go off into an industry siding, maybe a mill, and then my reversing loop begins, and the track kind of just goes across a piece of plywood now. I do plan on building a bridge with the Scenic Express girder bridge sections that'll go there. And then the mountain or upper level will kind of look like a mountain, and we've got some Menards buildings and things like that in the background that will go up there. One other piece of having a layout is you need to have a place to work. So in the storage area of my basement, I built just a small workstation, and so we can go check that out right now. So back here in the storage area of my basement, I have my a little workstation that I built just for scenery products, tools, anything that I might need as I work on, if I have to repair trains or do any weathering, which I haven't gotten into yet, but I plan to. Right now you can see I've been working on some rock molds, so we can look at that in a second. Basically all I did was take a piece of 2x4 pre-cut plywood from Home Depot, throw a couple 2x4s underneath it and some screws, and I had a workstation. I had some pegboard laying around and old peg hooks, so just threw those in, and then made a trip to Harbor Freight and got a bunch of cheap tools. I know that Harbor Freight tools don't really hold up that long, but they get the job done for the light work that I'll be doing down here. So it just kind of allows me to put all of my things in one place and stay organized. I also had an old vent hood from a cooktop, and so I added that to the top here. That provides me with some light, as well as a fan up underneath, so I can go ahead and turn that on, and that provides me with some ventilation as well. So if I'm doing any weathering, hopefully that will help provide a bit of an updraft and get those fumes up and out. Now, they're not vented right now. I do plan on putting some ductwork in just to kind of blow those fumes off and over to the side, but for now, they get the job done. Looking here at the rock molds that you saw in the layout, I'm using the same technique that Eric Siegel uses. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've seen Eric's videos. They're tagged under Eric's Trains. He was kind of the main inspiration for me as I began working on my layout. So I've got some of the same rock molds that he has from Bragdon Enterprises. And you can watch, he has a whole video tutorial on how to do rock molds like this. So it's using plastic resin and then a 2-part foam, and it's a bit of a process, but I found out that the rock molds look very realistic when you do it this way. So again, check out Eric Siegel or Eric's Trains videos if you're interested in how to do this, because the video tutorial is already there. There's no sense in me going and copying his work when he's already got it posted. So check that out if you haven't already.
So again, this little workstation just allows me to get some of my things out of the way, which is quite nice. So here on the layout is where the 48-inch truss bridge is. You can see behind here I've got some of those rock molds already going in place. So basically I'm just hot gluing them onto the cardboard lattice. Now this is slightly different than how Eric Siegel does his. He uses more of a hard shell. I just use the cardboard lattice. I haven't had any problems by just doing it this way, but that's just kind of my take on doing scenery this way. So you'll see I have some gaps and things like that right now. Those will get filled in with smaller pieces of rock molds and then sculpt the mold as well and smoothed out in time. These will all stay white for now until I get all the rock in for this scene, and then I will go ahead and paint it so that way I can have one consistent color throughout the rocks within this section of the layout here.
So that gives you a bit of an idea of what my layout looks like. Like I said, it's quite large. It's taking me a lot of time to get everything wired up and things like that. In another video blog, we'll look at some of the wiring and the control panel and things like that. So like I said, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'll try to get back to any questions that I can. This is my second layout. I had built my, actually technically my third. I built my first layout when I was younger with my dad. It was quite basic, just Lionel tubular track, 2 loops, all conventional. About a year and a half ago, I built my first layout in my own home. It was small, minimum curve was 0.42. So I wasn't running big trains, I just didn't have the space. And I was working in an unfinished basement. And I learned a lot from just building that first layout and then tearing it back down because we ended up moving to this new house. So I've learned my lessons, as this is really my second layout. And I'm using Lionel Legacy system. All of my engines that I run on this layout right now are Lionel. Nothing gets MTH. I just haven't broken into that market yet. And so the cars that I use, rolling stock, those are MTH, Lionel, and Atlas. So we'll run some trains at the end. That's the Lionel Vision Line Big Boy, and then the MTH City of Los Angeles passenger cars that go along with that.
Affirmative, 1854. The track is clear. Out.